Hey everyone, welcome to Cupboard Creations. My name's Gareth and this is my little corner of the internet, playing with my food. Today I'm going to do a tray bake. Nice and simple on a kind of, as we're getting near autumn, it's kind of that blend. It's not quite summery, it's not quite wintry, it's just this perfect, nice and easy pork tray bake that you can just knock together, shove in the oven, 15 minutes later, done. So I'm using chard and French beans that I've kind of grown in the garden. You can use broccoli, you can use any other kind of sort of green beans, you can use spinach, you can use a bit of kale or some cabbage. It's all great. Any of the green ones, what's really good about them, they all seem to cook essentially the same amount of time. So all you're going to do is grab your veg. You want, oh, it's a bit loud, a good handful. So you're thinking, well, enough to serve two for this. So yeah, good handful of beans, good handful of chard. And then we're just going to chop these up pretty small, but you know, just rough really. That's what I like. Got the stalks in here as well, and they actually have a lot of flavour, really good. So just going to chop those and then just gradually pop them all in a roasting tin. Okay, so there we go. That's kind of my base of veg. And then what we're going to add to that is some tomatoes. Now you want cherry tomatoes for these. I actually came up with this recipe a week or so ago when my neighbour came round. They were going away on holiday looking after the place, and she brought round all these little tomatoes that she'd bought and didn't want to throw away. And I was like, I'll come up with something for them. Came up with this. Absolutely loved it. And the tomatoes just add that little bit of freshness to everything. Kind of really brings it together. You could sort of call this, I suppose, like modern British food, which isn't too different to old British food. Just, I think, we're just adding a little bit more to it. Some of the ingredients are fresher. You know, weathers have changed. Stuff is growing differently. So just gonna chop those up, like halve them, and then just pop them in. You probably want, yeah, a good handful, probably about 150, 200 grams for two. And yeah, just chop them, pop them in. Lovely. So now they're out of the way, add a few more little things. Garlic. Absolutely love garlic with this. So we're going to chop these, and we're not going to like dice them up or chop them down really small. Just going to sort of break them open, give them a skin, and then chop them into quarters probably. And you want 6 small cloves, 4 large cloves. Cloves? Clove. That's the one. There's my garlic going in. And then rosemary. So you're going to use probably 2 sprigs of rosemary for this. You just want to pull the leaves off, just chuck them in. There we go. Now that's done, just give it a good mix around, just so you know, got a little bit of everything everywhere. Then you want a good glug of olive oil. It's probably about 2 tablespoons in there. Lovely job. And then a bit of salt and pepper. So a couple of good grinds of black pepper. And a little pinch of salt. All mixed around nicely. So you pop that there. Get your oven on to about 180 degrees C. And then we can start making what's going to be like almost like a sauce just for the pork chops. And these are really simple. So all you're going to get is whole grain mustard. And if your hands aren't too oily, you can do this. Just a good heaped tablespoon of whole grain mustard in there. Get that out. Love that stuff. And then honey. And again, just the same, whole tablespoon. Try and get all the mustard off before you put it in the honey. Otherwise, your wife will have a huge surprise when she puts it on her toast in the morning. So you just want to pop a good bit of honey in there. And then because you have got a little bit of mustard in there, fish it out. And then just give that a mix around. And you'll just get this kind of sticky, mustardy sauce. And that's just going to glaze that pork. And as it cooks, sink down into those veg and kind of create, not a gravy, but almost like a sauce with it. When the tomatoes start blistering down, they'll let out some juice. It'll all mix together. And you'll have something really, really delicious. So that's that ready. That's all done. Now we've got to do, wait for the oven to heat up and we can pop those in. Okay, so now that oven's heated up, we can pop these in. And we want to be quite quick here. So you want to immediately grab yourself a pan, pop that on. Say, this is a tray bake, but you're going to get so much better pork if you sear it off first before you put it in the oven. It doesn't take too long to cook, so you can give your veg a little bit of time just to kind of get started. So you're probably talking that's going to be in there about 15 minutes. This is going to be on the hob for 12 minutes and you're done. So once you've got that done, just want to get a bit of salt and pepper on your chops. And then once that pan's all heated up, just drop your chops in. And then we're just going to season the other side. Always do it in the pan because it's easier than playing around with it. There we go. And all we're going to do is kind of sear those until they're nicely kind of browned on all sides. You'll start to see a slight little bit of caramelisation on there, and then turn them off. So we're not cooking them through, we're just sealing the outside. Okay, so they've nicely sealed now, and that's all we want. So we can turn that off, and then our stuff is all doing. So we can just head back, finish the last little bit we want to do for these pork chops, just kind of give them a little bit of extra flavour. Okay, so now the pork's done, the veg is just doing through a little bit. So you want to grab yourself an apple, and then just take some slices off, pretty thin. And these are going to kind of dress the top of the pork. And what they'll do is once we spread that kind of basting stuff with the, the mustard and the honey, put that on top, and then put the apples on top of that. Kind of just hold it down a bit so it doesn't just pour off the side. Give it like a nice little coat of apple. Plus, once that apple's cooked, it's going to taste so delicious. Now I'm just using a Granny Smith, but you can use anything. You can use normal kind of baking apples if you want, anything like that. I just like using these because I've got them around the house. Okay, so here we go. Let's put it all together. Just going to grab your veg out. Oh, that's nice. You'll see, depending on what you're using, things like the kale and that slightly wilted down. I'm just going to give that a bit of a mix around. Lovely. Trying not to throw it all off the side. And then, don't know why I'm putting those down. Grab your pork chops and lay them on top. Lovely. Don't worry about any liquid coming with it. It's all flavour. There we go. Nice. And then, last but not least, that basting stuff. So, a little bit of honey and mustard. Lovely with this. So you just want to pour that over the top. That will stick to it as it cooks. Be really good. Lovely. And once you got that on there, grab your apples. And then just lay them like a little blanket over the top. And then that can just go back in the oven at that 180. You want to leave this for about 12 minutes. Should be fine. Depends, of course, on kind of the thickness of your pork steaks or your chops. Use the packet ingredients, methods. It'll tell you on the back usually exactly how long if you're buying it from a supermarket. Otherwise, for me, 12 minutes is fine. You don't want the stuff to be like really kind of dry I mean, I remember as a kid getting pork chops and yeah, you needed a hacksaw to get through them. So these should be still nice and juicy. And this way of cooking them really helps that. So we're gonna leave that for 12 minutes. And when it's done, we're done. Okay, so here we go. 12 minutes later, dinner's ready. Oh, that looks pretty epic. You'll see the colours change slightly. All kind of gets a little bit darker, but it's still got that vibrancy. Those little tomatoes in there, stuff like that, just add some sort of visual loveliness, not just kind of tasting. So there we go. That is my tray baked pork chops. They're absolutely beautiful, really vibrant, loads of flavour in there, and so easy to do. Like a nice sort of weekday dinner, nice and quick, simple. You can do some other stuff while you're doing it. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you give it a go, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers.